Marathon is finally out, and despite some online trepidation, it still seems to be selling well on its opening day. That means there's going to be a ton of new players trying out the game for the very first time. Whether you're new to the extraction genre or are thinking about jumping over from Tarkov or Ark, we've got you covered with a list of our most essential tips to help you extract successfully on your next raids. Sit back, relax, enjoy the video, and most importantly, let me know what you think of Marathon so far. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Booting up Marathon for the very first time puts you into the tutorial. Now, you can skip this by pausing and then surrendering, but here's why I wouldn't. Everything you loot while in the tutorial will extract with you after successfully completing the tutorial. Given how short and easy the tutorial is, I would spend a couple of minutes in that opening section looting around so that you get a leg up in building up your stash in your vault. Starting from scratch can be super difficult in this game, and having a few extra guns, credits, and heals will really go a long way in those first opening raids. Your first couple of hours should be spent making progress and unlocking the available factions. You'll make faction progress by claiming and completing contracts, for which there are two different kinds: standard contracts and priority contracts. Priority contracts are the main story of the game and thus provide you with significantly more rep for each faction. Successfully turning in contracts will let you claim several different rewards and upgrades, and completing contracts will unlock upgrades for your character, such as vault capacity, increased looting speed, heat capacity increases, armory unlocks, and so much more. You'll want to complete contracts for different factions as different factions have different upgrades. I would strongly suggest prioritizing a bunch of your Cyber Acme and New Caloric contracts, as these provide some of the best starting upgrades in the game. For those who are looking to main and identify more closely with a faction, you can head on over to taoceti.world/profiling to take a psychological exam that'll tell you which faction you're most aligned with. Spend some time hovering over the upgrades in the Upgrade Faction tab, and make sure to hit R3 on controller or R on keyboard to track the items needed to turn in order to unlock said upgrades. That way, when you're out in raid, you can easily identify which items you need to prioritize first. Additionally, don't forget to claim your rewards from your faction representative. Ranking up a faction will always provide you with free rewards that'll contain weapons, consumables, and implants. And speaking of contracts, it's not always clear what you have to do for a contract while out in raid. Contracts will always provide supplemental information. Simply open your map and tab over to the contract section. Then use your cursor to hover over the current objective. You'll get a pop-up with additional information that'll help you locate your contract objective. Perhaps our most essential tip we could give you while out in raid is to remember to make as little noise as possible. Marathon leans much more into the hardcore aspects of extraction shooters with a high TTK and more slow-paced gameplay. That means you really don't want to be running around a POI unless you're currently engaging in a PvP fight. In extraction shooters, sound is information, and if you're shooting the enemy AI, you're letting any possible players around you know that you're in the vicinity. To combat this, especially as a solo player, you'll want to sneak around crouching and utilizing your knife to either light attack or heavy attack the roaming UESC. That way you make as little noise as possible. I mean, really, I'd encourage you to avoid the AI altogether, if possible. This is a great way to learn the difference between AI footsteps and player footsteps, as UESC AI always hit the floor with a loud clink, while player footsteps always hit with a more subtle thud. Stamina management is a big one, especially in the early game. In the case of Marathon, stamina is a heat system that builds up instead of draining down like we're used to in other games. Performing actions like sprinting and sliding will build up the heat in your shell. Keep an eye on that meter to make sure you do not overheat. If you do, you'll have to wait for your entire heat bar to completely cool down before you can start performing actions that build up heat. The last thing you want to do is get caught out in the open and not be able to sprint. Quick tip that performing actions while in water reduces the amount of heat buildup. Whether you're in a shallow puddle or out in the rain, will build heat less slowly. You can also crouch to make heat dissipate faster. Don't forget about your character's abilities. Particularly in the server slam, I saw a lot of players not using their prime or tactical abilities while in PvP fights. Marathon's combat is very character driven, and using character abilities is crucial for getting the leg up in battle, and not just being able to outshoot the other guy. Spend some time in the shell select menu, learning not just the abilities of every character, but their passive traits too, so that you can leverage them when out in a raid. Things like consumables with triage always share with crew members who are using your med drone, and utilizing Assassin's Smoke will drop aggro of any UESC. Use these things to your advantage. Speaking of reading, I would suggest spending time reading the descriptions of cores and implants in your vault before a raid. Build crafting is going to be very important in Marathon in the end game. So, getting a fundamental understanding of ability and stat boost based on the naming conventions will help you get a leg up when you inevitably start finding better loot while out on a run. Understand how these things affect your character's stats now for the advantage later on. In that same vein, knowledge is key while out in raid. You'll want to be efficient by not just knowing where to go for good loot, but why you're going there in the case you're looking for specific items. When out in raid, you can open the map and hover over any POI to see additional information for what loot is available at that point of interest. If you're needing extra items to barter with some of the traders, then scope out where you need to go instead of looting around aimlessly. You'll want to keep an eye out for weapons with additional functions. Some guns will have either alternate fires or alternate ADS options. The M77 has a toggle scope, while the V11 Punch will let you charge and release your bullets in a high damage burst. Read the information to get the most out of your guns so that you can engage in PvP and have the upper hand. One of my favorite practices in the early game, if I'm kitting up for a raid, is to utilize one of the pistols as a secondary weapon. The V11 Punch is sold by Cyber Acme for only 50 credits. Volt weapons in Marathon are extremely efficient against the AI, not just for how strong they can be, but for how efficient they can be with ammo consumption. Volt batteries can be recharged by generating heat. Just remember to not throw away the clip if you shot a couple of bullets, as that'll waste the entire magazine. My next tip is to not always rely on the smart heal. While I do agree it does not always provide the best heal option while in the middle of a fight, but I think as a beginner it'll circumvent one of the most important things you need to know about the game, and that's identifying icons for different types of heals. The best way to learn different types of consumables is going to be to manually select them. Simply hold down your keybind for your heal and scroll through the consumable wheel to select the heal that you need and start learning the icons as soon as possible. Speaking of heals, always heal after every single encounter and before you start looting. The loot from fully wiping a squad is not going to go anywhere by spending a couple of seconds getting your shields and health back. And with a fast TTK, it only takes a couple of shots from any nearby AI or a nearby team to end your raid as you're looting. Don't let that be you. Ammo can be scarce in this game. For my money, I think it's worth it to come in with some spare ammo crates. If you're using one of the free sponsor kits from one of the factions in the armory, these kits will always come equipped with one ammo crate. Get in the habit of dropping it right at the beginning so that you can load up on ammo and not have to worry about it later. Remember to look for ammo crates from downed runners and not just the ammo they have in their backpack. The various map events in Marathon will always provide you with the opportunity for better loot. And we're not just talking about the big lockdown that happens in Dire Marsh. Small events like hazard overrides and hacking terminals will always provide you with the chance of finding some enhanced and deluxe gear. Use these things to your advantage. It's important to know that map events increase the longer you spend in raid. While there may be less players on the map, you will get increased UESC activity. So be prepared for a fight if you're looking for better loot. There's a better, more efficient way to install mods on your weapons. By hovering over the weapon that you want to install attachments on, hold to inspect and modify. You'll then be able to see the mods that can be installed on that weapon. It's a faster and easier way to get things on your guns. I'd also recommend cleaning up your HUD to have the least amount of visual noise in Raid as possible. Turn your HUD opacity to low, and if you're able, turn either the subtitles off or the text size to extra small. You can additionally hide your current contracts while in Raid by holding and pressing down on the touchpad on controller or M on your keyboard. For me, the less things distracting you from the actual gameplay, the better. And those are some of our best tips for getting started in Marathon. Good luck out on Tau Ceti, runner. We'll see you in the next one.